What is the need for office procedure? Well, friends, we know railways are not working in isolation. They are part of the central government, the government of India, and we are accountable to Parliament. Through the Ministry of Railways and the Railway Minister, the whole working of railways comes under the scrutiny of Parliament from time to time. So there is a need for uniformity in the procedure which has been laid down centrally for all the government departments of the country. The office procedures will ensure that there is a transparency and probity in all decision makings. Whenever a decisions, whether financial or otherwise, are taken, they are taken as per the procedures laid down in the MOP, and this ensures that the basic elements of decision making procedure are ensured. Here we are not only recording the particular decision which has been taken in the process of MOP, but also the entire procedure by which the decision was taken is captured. If anybody of you has experience of working in private sector, perhaps a lot of decisions are taken verbally, and they are only the functional points are recorded somewhere. Sometimes even that is not done. But in railways, the decision has to be recorded, how the decision was arrived at, why and by whom. This portion has to be recorded. So the manual of office procedures lays on the methodology by which this can be done. There are other stakeholders and the auditing bodies which keep a watch on the working of all the government functionaries, whether it is Central Vigilance Commission, CVC, whether it is Audit and Accounts, CAG, or CBI. The records are also necessary to be maintained as per the manual of office procedure, so that they can be made available for scrutiny as and when required by the external bodies. Even sometimes parliamentary standing committees come and scrutinize the records of the government officers. Lastly, the office procedure and its adoption ensures that the office working is systematized and is uniform throughout the entire length and breadth of the country, not only within the railways but also across all the central government offices, whether it is diesel sheds, whether it is a carrying wagon line, whether it is a part of Southern Railway or whether it is part of the North East Frontier Railway. Some basic elements have to be ensured in the working which make the adoption of manual of office procedures mandatory. Definition of office. What do we understand by office? Well, office is not merely a collection of few chief officers and the section officers and their subordinate staff. The offices have been defined in the manual of office procedure. The ministry or department is the highest office which is responsible for formulation, execution and review of policies. This office essentially reports in various channels of submission directly to the minister. In case of railways, it is the Railway Board or Ministry of Railway, which is a ministry or department office. Attached office. Attached office is responsible for providing the technical advice to the ministry or the central government office, which in turn reports to the minister. The attached office is one which is presently the RDSO can be called the attached office of Government of India, Ministry of Railways. Earlier, other offices like DGS&D to Ministry of Commerce were also taken as attached offices. Both ministry, department and attached office, ideally these officers in their letterheads are entitled to write their designations as the particular designation followed by Government of India, Ministry of so and so. The next level of office where all the functionaries come which execute the policies and convert them into the output at field level, like General Manager's Office in case of railways, Divisional Railway Manager's Office, CWM, Senior DME, Senior DOM, all the ROH depots, SSE Office. These are coming in the category of subordinate offices. These are responsible for detailed execution of policies of the government, and they in turn report to the ministry or through the attached office to the ministry on one way or the other. A look at the functional levels of the offices. The smallest functioning unit of our office is called section. In case of central ministries, this is headed by a section officer. In case of railway offices or the subordinate offices, the chief office superintendents are heading this smallest functional unit. The dealing assistants at the level of junior clerk, senior clerk or assistants, they help the section officer or chief of office in maintaining the records and converting the output of office into the tangible form. Desk officer is the officer at the level of section officer or chief OS who is single-handedly assigned the duty of dealing with a particular subject due to the importance of the subject, which may be either confidential or top secret or very important. The further delegation at level of junior clerk or senior clerk is not done in the interest of keeping the matters reasonably safe in a senior level hand, and desk officer directly initiates the file, and he also is entitled to issue the office orders pertaining to that particular office after taking the approval of the competent authority. Going up above in the hierarchy, the next level after the section officer comes at the level of branch officer. Branch officer is entitled to take work directly from the section. The branch officer normally is at the level of under secretary, which is senior scale, or deputy secretary or director, which is the level of selection grade or JAG. In case of subordinate offices, all the senior DMEs or DMEs, if they are designated as branch officers, come in the category. They may be assisted by certain assistant scale and senior scale officers in turn, but the section officer in principle is required to put up the file directly to branch officer unless otherwise dictated by branch officer to channelize the file through a particular channel consisting of assistant scale and senior scale officers. A case is a file or bunch of papers which is related to a particular subject. A case can be a subsection of a file, or it can be an entire file which is dealing with a subject. Here all the docs, all the notings, all the relevant the communications which are proposed to be issued from the offices, they are formed into one bunch and they are referred to as case. Again, please remember, case can be an entire file or it can be a subsection of the file. Doc is a written communication such as letter, telegram, file, etc. Now you can add hard copy of emails, the court orders received in the litigations, or any memorandums and similar documents which are received from the outside agencies. They form doc. Remember, there is a very important difference between doc and receipt. Doc, as long as it has not been registered in the office, does not become a receipt, and strictly at the initial stage it is a raw form of communication which is not yet a part of the office records. Only after it has been converted into a receipt as explained in the subsequent sections will the doc become part of the office records. The level of branch officer has already been explained. It can be J grade, selection grade, or even senior scale. Sometimes DME are designated as branch officers. The deputy secretary or director is the corresponding level in the ministry. The division is combination of several branches. Division is normally headed by a joint secretary in ministry or a senior administrative grade officer, SEG officer in headquarters or division. The division is generally headed by SAG, HOD, but in some cases can also be headed by PHOD or in extreme cases by a selection grade officer, depending on the nature or distribution of work in a particular office. It is extremely important to understand the difference between DARC and receipt, which has been done in this slide. DARC, which has been received in an office, is entered on a receipt register with a unique serial number. This particular receipt register becomes the official record of the fact that DARC has come to the section. After it has been received, the DARC may be converted into a receipt and sent to the concerned section. The section officer or the dealing assistant will thereafter put this receipt in the corresponding file. Now the DARC by itself does not become a receipt and does not become part of the record, is amply brought out by the fact that simply putting a letter into an office and saying that it has been submitted to office is not enough. It has to be ensured that it is registered, it is entered into the register, which is the duty of the receipt clerk, and it is then taken as a record. If this is not done, sometimes legal complications have arisen where the sender has stated that he has sent a particular communication, whereas the recipient, because he was not able to convert this into a receipt, has denied its existence, and several cases have got affected, which in turn either have put the question mark on the functionality of the office, or in some cases have caused loss to the exchequer also. Well, what happens after a receipt has been put up to a particular dealing assistant and section officer? Receipt is marked to the dealing hand, junior clerk or senior clerk or assistant. Thereafter, receipt is placed on the file and noting has to be initiated. These stages are very important, as we will explain in the subsequent slides. It is very important to understand the action which is required to be taken by dealing hand after he has been handed over a particular receipt for attachment to a file. What are these steps? The dealing hand must check all the enclosures. There are a large number of occasions when a letter has been forwarded by the communicating department without the attachments, whereas its body and the main content says that some attachments are enclosed. So it is the role of dealing hand to ensure that these enclosures are there. If they are not there, he is supposed to write a reminder to the section officer of the issuing office stating that enclosures should be sent. Once the complete documentation has been ensured, the places should be placed physically on file and CP numbers, that is the correspondence page number, should be assigned in a running order. Now, what is the rule for assigning CP number? The CP is directly, generally correspondence page is on the right hand side of a file. If you have a right hand side and left hand side, then left hand side is normally reserved for the noting side and right hand side is the CP side. The letter which is at the bottom has to be numbered as CP number 1 and all the subsequent pages which are attached on the top, they have to go like 2, 3, 4, etc. If certain receipt has more than one page, like the main letter having 5 pages of enclosure, then the CP number on the main letter will be given the running order. Suppose it is the 96th paper, then the top letter will be noted as 96 by 1 and all the enclosures will be thereafter recorded as CP 96 by 2, CP 96 by 3, CP 96 by 4 and so on till all the papers have been finished. And it is ideally correct to write that if there are 6 pages, then first page should be written as CP96/1 of 6, CP96/2 of 6. This will ensure that there are 6 pages further to the main body, and this makes a very easy identification if any page is missing. Now the next step is that after the correspondence has been placed on right hand side, its number should be recorded on NP side. One small noting has to be made where the dealing assistant has to write receipt document number so and so at CP number 96 consisting of 6 pages received from, suppose it has come from GM's office, then he says received from GM's office addressed to DRM. This small one line noting has to be made which need not go anywhere, but it has to be a record stating that a particular receipt has come on a particular day and has been attached by him on the file. The next very important stage is docketing of receipts. Well, what is docketing? Docketing, I'll leave this for the next slide. The docketing is a very important procedure in which the records which have been made by the receiving officer are also noted on the NP side. Next procedure to be followed by dealing hand is to locate and collect all the related and relevant papers and files which have been referred to in that letter or which are important for making noting connected to the particular receipt, and then he has to identify the issue and prepare a note. These two steps I'll talk about in the slides which are coming hereafter. Wherever we say CP, it is correspondence page which is on the right hand side, which are all the receipts from other offices as well as final communication sent out by the office. Suppose in the reply to this particular receipt, a letter has been sent and signed by the officer and it is now required to be sent back to the originating office, then that too is placed on the correspondence page. Office copy is placed on that side and then the original letter is dispatched. And NP is the noting page. Noting page is totally internal. It is a page which supports the decision making process and explains why a particular steps have been taken, as well as also records all the correspondence which have been received in the office, their small description, their page numbers and their requirements, what all functionalities have been required in that. This is an example of docketing. As I explained in the previous slide, docketing is an important procedure. Remember, docketing is always done by the dealing hand and on the noting side only, but it refers to the correspondence page, some correspondence which has come from outside and where some remarks have been made by the senior receiving officer. That particular record is taken onto the page and a noting page, and it has to be verbatim recorded as such. This is an example of the docketing. If it is not visible, I'll take you to the next slide where we will explain what all records have been kept here. This is a typed representation of the docketing which was done on the previous page. Serial number 23 is the noting serial on the noting page side, which has now been made by the dealing assistant. He writes serial number 23 and then in bracket receipt. Receipt refers to the letter which had come from cabinet secretary and is now placed at CP 70. And on that letter itself, the receiving officer was Joint Secretary Policy. He has made a small direction in which he says we need to keep cabinet secretary informed. Please put up today. This is a line written on the letter which has been placed at CP 70, and this line has been reproduced by the lead dealing assistant on the noting side, and then he writes SD XXS JS policy. That means JS policy has given this direction, marked it to DS project, And once this particular portion which has been encircled in red is done, the docketing is complete. Thereafter the dealing hand will start his noting on serial number 24, in which he will reproduce what all information was required to be sent, and he will make a noting on the current status of the case and send it to DS project for further directions and further information of JS policy. He will also be attaching a draft reply about which we will talk in the next section. Section officer plays an extremely important role in efficient disposal of cases in the section. He ensures work distribution and also timely disposal of all the notings and output of the section. Apart from that, the quality of work which is created by the dealing assistant has to be checked, and in this connection certain action by section officer is extremely important. What are these? He has to scrutinize the note of the dealing hand. Whatever note has been prepared by dealing hand, generally the two officers, that is section officer and the dealing assistant, beforehand they consult each other, and it is expected that the section officer will guide the dealing assistant, who is relatively less experienced in the issues regarding contents of the note and how the noting has to be made. Once the noting has come to his level, he is expected to dispose of all routine cases. In many instances, it has been noted that the routine cases are sometimes put up to the branch officer, which is not required. Suppose a letter has come from some office requesting for noting or copy of an earlier decision which has been taken in the particular reference to a case. Now this case is a routine case. It need not go to the branch officer. The section officer himself can prepare a note, prepare a reply, and he can send it to the office which has desired that information. There are several such instances where some of the routine issues have been put up to branch officer. These have to be avoided. For the issues which require certain decision at branch officer level or beyond that level, the section officer is required to play the role of an advisor. He has to put his own comments on the case. Very importantly, he has to suggest alternate course of action in the matter. Sometimes when a request has been made by an office for particular course of action, certain other courses of action may also be available which have not been discussed by the dealing assistant. Now here the section officer will suggest that apart from what has been sought and what has been explained by the dealing assistant, what all other alternatives can be adopted. He has to then submit the case to the appropriate higher officer, which can be branch officer. Of course, the cases have to go through the branch officer, but certain offices prescribe that case should go through assistant and senior scale officer who is assisting the branch officer. This particular hierarchy has to be followed. Beyond branch officer, if the case has to go to divisional officer or to the secretary or to the head of the office, then the noting should, on the noting page side itself, all the officers who are supposed to record their opinion before the final approving authority will give his approval, their name, their designation should be recorded, and on the noting side it should be recorded that these officers will record their opinion. In the noting side it has to be very clearly brought out who is the competent authority in that case. If it is a branch officer, fine. If it is a divisional or a higher officer, the last para should say that this matter lies within the competence of principal chief mechanical engineer or general manager or as the case may be. There are some occasions when cases will have to go to other sections. The particular dealing section may have one part or the main part of the subject matter to deal with. However, there may be sub parts in that particular subject which have to go to other sections. A very good example can be a case where the headquarter has sought information on the POH of all the coaches which are required to be undertaken in that particular division, and he has also, the head office has requested for information on the available budgetary resources. Now the main information is POH, so the section dealing with the POH will record its own comments and then mark it to the section which is keeping record of the budgeting provisions. So while the file is going to another section, the record in file movement register has to be entered. Many a times it is not done, and when there are inordinate delays, and invariably when there are certain transfers taking place, then the originating section may forget where the file has gone. The important components of note prepared by a dealing assistant and section officer. Between the dealing assistant and section officer, the strategy of recording the portions of the noting has to be decided. Certain issues have to be brought out by dealing assistant, or section officer may direct the entire material or content to be recorded by dealing assistant, and he can provide his overall supervision in the matter. However, in most of the cases, if you go back to your office, you will find that these issues are sometimes very casually dealt, and section officer and dealing assistant simply put up the receipt and with a remark that so and so letter has come from head office for necessary action, and the entire process which should have been brought out on the file is left to the branch officer to record. This is a totally unacceptable situation. So when you go back to the office next time, please ensure that before the file leaves the section officer level, following points must be part of the noting. What are they? Dealing assistant can record the chronology, what all events have taken place in the past on the particular subject. Some particular letter may have its own history, certain policy letters issued by Railway Board, certain documents which are to be connected. This chronology should be brought out. He should also describe whether all the statements which are made either in the letter which has been received from the other office are correct or not. Example would be that senior DOM writing to senior DME that he should withhold the POH marking of coaches. Now this statement, although it is a factually one-liner, may have an area where the power for POH marking may not be vesting with the senior DME. So the dealing assistant must in his record state whether the particular statement is correct or not. Even figures and factual corrections are in part of this. Sometimes wrong figures are given, and here the dealing assistant will indicate in his noting that so and so figures given by the issuing office are incorrect. So all mistakes, statements, missing data that have to be linked. Then dealing assistant must tell what is the question for consideration and decision required. At the end of the letter, every section and every office will expect that when he is making a correspondence, he is doing it for some decision or for seeking some information. So if it is only a mere information which is routine, well, it falls in the first category where section officer can himself dispose of the case. But if the decision is required, suppose in the earlier case of illustration of where a senior DM is writing to senior DME for stopping the POH marking, then the decision required is that for due to heavy traffic and heavy requirement of coaches, say for running the Shramik specials, the senior DME is not now expected to mark a coach as marked for due for POH. Now this is a decision required, so it should be properly brought out. The statutory provisions and rule position is again required to be brought out by the dealing assistant. If POH has to be stopped as in the illustrative letter, then what are the policies given by Railway Board? Whether senior DME is permitted to stop POH or he has to seek the approval of his CME. Or alternatively, there are certain conditions in which in emergency he can take a decision, whereas in the normal condition he is not expected to take a decision. So this statutory provision and the rule book position has to be brought out in the noting by dealing assistant. Now when section officer is putting up his note, he should furnish other relevant data which can be in the illustrative case as to what had happened in a similar case in previous years, draw attention to the precedences, whether the POH in the past has been discontinued on the request of senior DOM or whether it required any further approval from DRM or from the higher authority. Alternate course of action. Suppose the senior DOM is seeking stoppage of POH for running extra special trains, then it is possible that senior DME may be suggested that certain coaches which are lying in the adjoining division can be brought, or some action can be solicited from, some help can be solicited from the headquarters. So these alternative suggestions should definitely be brought out, and also a draft reply. At the end of the decision making process, what reply will go to senior DOM? Whether we will say that yes, we are agreeing to your demand, or whether we are not agreeing to your demand, or if we seek approval of the CME office, then a draft to CME's office seeking that senior DOM has requested for POH, stopping the POH marking and kindly permit us. So this draft reply must invariably be a part of your noting which has been initiated by a dealing assistant and leaving the section officer's office. If these things are not there, kindly return the file back to these levels, because it is the work at the ground level where the section officer and dealing assistant between themselves should ensure that the components of the noting are complete with the above mentioned points. The guidelines in Manual of Office Procedure make it mandatory for each office to maintain certain records and registers connected with the working of the office. The Central Receipt Register. All the receipts which are coming to the office, all the DAC which comes to the office, in fact is entered into Central Receipt Register, and then only it can become part of a file. Here, friends, there are certain occasions where the letters do not come to the central receipt, or the office doesn't have a central receipt. The letters are directly coming to the senior officers, which can be in case of very urgent issues, confidential letters, or this can be case where there is a prolonged holiday, maybe Saturday, Sunday, and some letter is to be delivered in urgency. If a letter has not come to central receipt and has directly gone to the officer, his personal staff will, after the letter has been seen by the particular officer, he will ensure that this letter is entered into the Central Receipt Register before he, the section officer can take action on the same. It is not proper for the letter to be directly put on the file without entry on Central Receipt Register, which may happen and is happening in most of the cases wherever letters are directly marked to the senior officers. Central Issue Register. Similarly, all the issues which can be files, which can be letters sent to other offices, have to be routed through Central Issue Register only. If they are directly sent by the officer, it is mandatory for the personal staff of the officer or the officer himself to ensure that the recording is placed on the Central Issue Register to make sure that in future, whenever any scrutiny takes place, the record of the dispatch of this particular DAC is available. The file register is a very important register. Whenever a new file is created, or even in case of old files being handled by an office, their subject-wise record has to be maintained. The date of creation of the file, the date on which the file was created has to be recorded, then its content and the subject matter and description has to be recorded, and then file number. Unique file number systems are available. For simplicity, we are not describing the file numbering system here, but they are unique. They must contain the year in which the file has been created. They must contain the short name of the section. Suppose it is Carriage in Wagon Dhanbad, then CNW DHN. Then if it is a subject matter in short, whether it is a POH or sick marking or budgetary matter, then in description should contain that. then a unique serial number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this serial number, year, subject in short, section in short, these have to be part of the file numbering. But we are skipping this. You stick to whatever file number system is there, but please ensure that whenever a new file is created, it is entered into register. Many times our offices are making mistake of directly creating a file and then part file particularly, and later on that file is not connected after a few years because it is not available, its description is not available on the file register. The file movement register, whenever a file is going outside the office, outside this section to another section, the file movement register, as I described in the previous slide, has to be ensured. Certain terms, main, final, part file. Friends, I am describing this very key points where the mistakes are taking place. Sometimes main file is under submission to a senior officer or has gone out to the different office. In that case, the section has a tendency to create a part file. This part file may be having the same subject, but since some urgent receipt had come, it had to be dealt with while the main file was not traceable or it was under submission to some different office, the part file is created. Here the rule is that as soon as the main file has come back and part file has been disposed of, you are required to, number one, create a part file, make its entry on the file register, have it disposed of through the competent authority, and as soon as the main file comes, the part file should be removed and it should be entered. The entire content should be made part of the main file on CP side. Suppose part file has only 9 pages, 8 or 9 pages, one on say 5 pages on correspondence page and 4 of the noting. Then all 9 pages should be taken out, and when the main file has come back, they should be removed from part file and serial number 1 to 9. Suppose it was placed at the serial number 85, then 85 by 1, 85 by 2, 85 by 3, 85 by 4, 85 by 9. These 9 pages should be made part of the CP side of main file, and that is how the part file has to be disposed of. At a time, not more than 1 or maximum 2 part files are permitted. If more files are there, then perhaps the office is not taking care of putting the part files back to the main file. Referencing of note is a very important process. Normally, when we reference a note, we individually write the CP number and NP number of whatever previous correspondence and previous noting we are mentioning about. Suppose the note is about a policy decision on POH, and suppose the letter from Railway Board is placed at say CP 70. Then when we are referring in the noting that Railway Board has issued a letter, then we write in the bracket placed at CP 70. This will ensure that if an officer wants to actually read the contents of the Railway Board letter, he is immediately directed to the right page without having to search that and waste his time. So this is an extremely important process of referencing which has to be ensured by dealing assistant when he is making his note. PUC and FR are short terms. PUC is paper under consideration and FR is fresh receipt. Whenever a receipt has come, it is considered to be a fresh receipt. However, if after few days fresh receipt had come, nothing happened, no noting was initiated, and after say about a month, if your section officer decides that well, that receipt was required to be put up to senior level, then in the meantime few more receipts had come. So now he will refer to that fresh receipt as PUC, paper under consideration, and whatever note he has to prepare, he will write PUC placed at so and so CP 70. However, these terms need not be stuck to. However, these are common terms used in our file working, and that is why it is necessary to note. If you are able to master the technique of referencing of note, it is good enough. Then PUC and FR terms need not be used. Referencing of notes is the absolute necessity without which no note should be prepared, and referencing is known to your dealing assistants and section officers. This has to be ensured. Urgency gradings. There are certain time periods in which files are normally disposed of. A pace is set in the office. Most of the decisions where files have to move, the timeline given in Manual of Office Procedure is that within 3 days the dealing assistant should initiate the note, and then within 7 to 10 days the branch officer or the divisional officer should take decision and dispose of the file. However, there are times when you cannot wait for this period, the matters are urgent, and then you use urgency gradings. Some such equations could be parliamentary question, litigation matters, and court subjects or contempt cases, where within a fixed period of time, which is very short, the decision has to be taken and conveyed and action has to be taken. You use immediate when the file has to be dealt without any iota of delay. Example is a parliamentary question where normally a field office will get 1 or maximum 2 days to submit a reply. So here the immediate label should be used. If this grading is used, the file should not wait at any table and it should be submitted. Perhaps it has to be taken by hand, and once the immediate grading is being pasted on the notice on the top of the correspondence, then no delay is expected to be taking place at any level. Priority is the next lower grading. These are the matters where the subject may not be required to be disposed of in a very short period. However, the delays of any nature are not expected. These files should be given priority grading. The examples for these could be time-bound visits by certain VIPs, the audit and inspection notes of certain categories or certain court matters which have some more time than the immediate, but nonetheless they should be disposed of before the normal working days of the office. What are the other urgency gradings? Well, some offices use urgency gradings like top priority or time bound. These are nothing but the variation of the first two. The top priority can be interchangeably used with immediate grading, and priority and top priority can be categories within themselves. Is there a technique to fast track cases? Yes. When you want a case to be decided in a time bound manner, it is very useful to type out a slip and paste it on the top of the file in which subject matter is written and date by which the matter is required to be disposed of should be written. For example, if there is a parliamentary question in which has been received on 1st of June 2020 and the parliamentary section of Railway Board has requested for information to be submitted by 2nd June, then the label will say like this: parliamentary question required to be replied by 2nd June. And then you can use a label like immediate or priority thereafter. Believe me, with this label, the file will move very, very fast, because not only the officer who is actually required to take decision on the matter or scrutinize and approve the reply will take action on highest priority, but the intermediate staff who is submitting the file to the officer, like dark section or the personal staff of officers who are taking the file from the dark section, they will also ensure that it is put up to the officer personally without any delay. Security grading. Handling the documents with security gradings is one area where lot of care has to be taken. It has to be ensured that we do not violate any of the provisions, because the violation of these grading and the care in not handling these documents properly can result in violation of Official Secrets Act, which is a British era draconian act which can land us, lot of us, into trouble. What are the security gradings? Well, top secret grading is one which is particularly required to be handled with care. These type of documents do not normally animate in railway working. However, lot of issues which may come from Ministry of Defence or Ministry of Home may be of top secret and secret nature. The top secret and secret documents, number one, please take care not to open these documents if they are not marked to you. Suppose the top secret document is addressed to DRM or to senior DME. The PS to DRM or SSE, who is technical assistant to the senior DME, should not make the mistake of opening them. These should be opened only by the officer to whom they are addressed. These documents are normally put in a double cover. The outer cover contains the address, and inside that the second envelope is put, which is sealed. There is a acknowledgement which can be the first cover can be opened by the personal staff if it is clearly written that this is a double cover envelope. Inside there is an acknowledgement. That acknowledgement should be given and sent back to the issuing office. Thereafter, the inside envelope should be quietly placed into the dark folder of the officer. The officer will open the letter, and thereafter, if he decides to share it with someone like DME or AME or senior DM or DRM, he will officially mark it on the letter that for kind perusal or for kind action. If it is not marked to some officer and directly a copy of the letter is given to you, suppose you are AME and your senior DME gives you a top secret letter, kindly request him and insist on him to have it marked to you officially, because a letter which is in address, it is sent to senior DME and it is found to be on the on records of a AME, then you are bound to be taken up under Official Secrets Act. The next level is confidential letters. Confidential letters are generally in railways are those which are emanating from vigilance or personal branch related to selections or certain tender or contract related matters in their inception stage when they are not yet final. The confidential letters again should not be handled by anybody else other than those to whom they are addressed. However, the confidential envelope marked confidential can be opened by the personal staff of the officer and then put up to the officer, who should enter, mark it to the respective official to whom the matter concerns. The other are those letters which are unclassed. However, there is a very huge difference between letter and documents which are public domain and those which are unclassed. If a letter without any classification is sent from one office to another, well, anybody else who is going through to access that letter or that document is not supposed to handle it, which means that he cannot make a copy of that and send it to anybody else. This is a very, very common mistake which is happening. Large number of cases we are taking, even if it is not marked to us, say a general manager writing to railway board, we take a copy of that and circulate on WhatsApp groups or email. This is totally prohibited as per the manual of office procedure. Unless the document is public domain document, you cannot handle it. Now, what is public domain document? Well, the documents which are actually nowadays put up on the websites in public domain are those which are related to transfer orders or policies matters, like stores department putting up the vendor clearance policy or Ministry of Health putting up the information on COVID related restrictions. These are public domain documents. Public domain documents you can share on email even if it is not marked to you, or you can handle as an official. But other than public domain, kindly resist sharing the documents through your own WhatsApp and email. There is one more important security precaution which has to be taken. Please do not send the documents on WhatsApp. Use email, and that too nicemail.gov.in or the email address issued by RailTel. If these two domain email addresses are not available, you can go to any other email domain. However, the sharing of documents on WhatsApp is highly risky, and it is advised not to use that platform for sharing documents. Even if your senior and higher official hierarchy officer send you the matter on WhatsApp, kindly make a habit of replying only through emails, or the safest is e-office, which is what we are going to teach you in the subsequent lectures. This slide summarizes some of the common mistakes which take place in violation of Manual of Office Procedures. Before we go through them, taking the cue from previous slide, some of the top secret issues which have been shared by some railway officials on an unauthorized platform are the movement of military specials or defense specials, and these have to be strictly avoided. If the matter is not marked to you on the subject of movement of any train, particularly military and security related movements, please do not handle that subject at all. Well, the common mistakes which take place are CP number and NP number not provided, a very common mistake in subordinate field officers. Blank pages left in NP side. On the NP side, people have a habit of typing only on one side. The other side is left blank and without any noting. This is a mistake. If this is happening, please ask your subordinate staff to type on both the sides, or if this is not possible, at least strike out the blank page with a pen so that nobody can make any record on the blank portion. Numbering of CP and NP from top to bottom. If the CP is numbered from bottom to top, it will make it extremely difficult for you to add a new receipt, and all the papers will have to be taken out. So please make sure that numbering is done from bottom to top and not from top to bottom. Non-linking of papers referred to in the note. Large number of occasions arise where referencing is not done. The dealing clerk will indicate that some letter was received from the ministry or from the headquarters, but they will not write the CP side where this paper is actually connected. This results in difficulty in going through the noting and proper recording of the decision. Just putting up receipts without seeking any decision. This is again a most common mistake. The dealing hand will write just a noting stating that so and so letter has been received. He will not examine the issue, he will not link the papers, and he will not seek any decision. This kind of noting from the dealing hand and section officer should be outrightly rejected. Not submitting the draft reply letter. If in response to a particular query we have to make a reply to the headquarter or to the superior authority or to our colleague officers, then the section officer has the obligation of putting up a draft reply. Please insist on that. Not saving the draft letter with correction on file. Many times when draft letters are put up, the superior officer will make some corrections. Well, friends, these corrections which are there, the original letter is perhaps retyped and the officer is required to sign that, but the corrections which were made in the pen, that particular letter, that draft is removed from the records. This is not correct, because large number of occasions arise when the senior officer has made substantial changes to the letter which may be in the nature of policy. If the recording of what corrections have been done by which officer is not there, the purpose of Manual of Office Procedure in recording the decision making process will be corrected. Not saving the yellow slips attached on letter file. Sometimes the senior officer will attach a yellow slip in which he may pass a decision in very short terms, or he may indicate some action desired to be taken. These yellow slips are again part of decision making, and these should be saved on the NP side. Not writing the name of officer who has approved the decision on file. This is again happening in large number of cases. APO may issue a letter to another office stating that the so and so decision is conveyed. At the bottom he will write APO gazetted for GMP, but he will not indicate which level of approving authority has approved that particular draft and that noting based on which he has written that letter. It is very essential to write that this issues with the approval of CPO or this issues with the approval of Deputy CPO. Without that, the letter is not considered to be complete. Not marking copy of the final letter to officer who has approved the decision. If the letter has been approved by general manager, it is mandatory to mark, although the letter may be issued by APO or SPO, but a copy should be marked to the GM's office to know what is the final result of which is the fine print of the letter which has gone after approval of the GM. So these mistakes should not be permitted to take place. Please remember, sometimes a junior or senior scale officer makes a reply to another office. In the noting side, he might have obtained the approval of the competent authority, but he does not show the draft to the competent authority. In this case, he will issue the letter stating that the letter is issued on behalf of, say, GMP. However, it is mandatory for him to write that the letter draft should be shown to GMP's CPO or PCPO. He should show the draft to the PCPO, and then only he should write this issues with the approval of PCPO. Otherwise, if he is not taking that approval, he is not authorized to write GMP at the bottom. Any minor change has been done by competent authority. Suppose a draft has been put up to competent authority. He makes minor changes of full stop and comma or some spelling corrections of one or two words changed here and there. The same letter need not again go to the competent authority. As explained earlier, only a copy of the final letter issued should go to his office. But if any major change is done by the competent officer, then a fresh draft should again be typed and it should be put up on the file and shown to the competent authority before the letter with major changes is reissued. Many times we initiate a note on the directions of a superior authority which has been conveyed verbally. In such cases, it is necessary to comply with the orders, but in the noting, it is expected that the initiating office will write that the noting has been initiated with the verbal directions of the competent officer whose designation should be recorded. Otherwise, if you are issuing the notio moto purely on yourself, then please write the reason why that note was required to be initiated, whether any emergency has taken place, whether any new occasion has arisen which has prompted you to seek a decision on a particular matter.